Welcome, Patreon members. Thanks for being here. We're extending into the Art of Peace practice, the 23rd stanza, and just kind of looking at this relationship between the stuff that kind of flashes bright, that looks good, that's kind of like your body kind of wants it. Like I talk to my kids all the time. They love the candy and the chocolate and the sweets and the Doritos and all that other kind of stuff. And that's what they want, right? And it, I mean, my daughter, one of my daughters, she'll eat it. And oh, it's so good. And it's like it's like the mind and the body. I mean, they just want that stuff. They want it, but it doesn't really fuel you. It doesn't really sustain you. It's not a great foundation. The other stuff, the stuff that is a great foundation, it's got less flash to it. It's kind of humble. It's not like in your face. And these are the kinds of things that you can build off of in perpetuity. The other stuff is kind of the stuff that you just got to kind of like, you got to get more and more and more and more and more. And then ultimately it doesn't make you feel very good. The stuff that sustains you is it's more quiet, it's subtler, and it kind of evolves over time. In the kind of emotional spiritual realm, it's the difference between um, kind of the darkness, the simple pleasure, the desires, the cardinal sins, right? And then love, compassion. You know, it's an ever present balance that we participate in. How do we participate? Well, the main thing is knowing, is having awareness and having the skills to not just be aware intellectually, but to be aware by practice and to be aware with regular presence. The hardest part about just kind of life in general is that a lot of these things that aren't sustainable, aren't healthy, um, aren't useful over long time, is that they're marketed as being things that they're not. And we have to contend with all of kind of the outer world presentation, as well as the way our bodies kind of crave things. If the mind likes something, it immediately is going to create narratives for how to get it again. And the mind doesn't like something, oh, this is boring, it's going to create narratives for pushing it away. And are you aware of this push and pull inside? That's bell one, right? Do you know what that stuff sounds like inside of you? And can you kind of see it and then boom, collapse into the present moment? Do you know your body's kind of pulls and pushes and what you're kind of focused on? And for me, I mean, before I gave up drinking, before I changed my consumption patterns, uh, I had a daily routine that included, waking up with some kind of like sludge in my system. I wouldn't go so far as to say a hangover, but I would say that a little bit of a headache, a little bit of sludge, a little bit of slowness. Food, a lot of times the food that I was eating, just wake up just feeling like, oh, just feeling really just like, really having to get going. And then by the end of the day, it's exciting. I'm excited for 5 o'clock, right? Because that's when I get to consume alcohol again. So it's these patterns, right? And the narrative inside. And it doesn't have to be words, it's emotions. It's like excitement, that sense of, yes, it's coming. That thing that I love, that I want is coming. It doesn't necessarily treat me well, but I love it. It's amazing. I can't wait for more. Are you aware of that? That second bell, right? That we go into second bell because fundamentally we want a fun, right? I tell my kids it's a fun, sustainable, it's a big word, sustainable, compassionate relationship with our body. Fun, sustainable, and compassionate. That's the relationship you want. How do you build that relationship? You have to have a communication, steady communication. It's just like, learning a new language. You practice every day. That's second bell. Third bell. Now, third bell is really our kind of in the moment, practicing the skill set that in the moment we can use to really armor down. If we've got some kind of trigger that just whoosh, armors you up, you ready to go. Breath. It's incredible watching little nervous systems, kids, animals, little unevolved nervous systems. It's incredible to watch them. They can be triggered by the outer world, and then the inner world comes on, and watching them go haywire is incredible because it causes haywire inside of me. So I'm interacting with, a 6-year-old whose systems are just collapsing, right? They're tired, they're hungry, everything's falling apart. We're watching that system just lose it. And inside, I am also losing it, right? So third bell is, can you stay calm? Can you be present enough to get to the breath? Because if you're losing it on the inside, you watch a kid do it, you lose it on the inside, you're getting tense, your breath is locking down, you're breathing in ways that signal to your body that all this is turned off. And the survival stuff is just, can you see that? Break through that and be like, that's third bell. And then fourth bell that's the log, right? Fourth bell is the sustainable log, right? When you have a fire full of hot coals, right? Not a fire that's made from like matchsticks and leaves, right? But a fire that has coals, that's stable, that's got the big logs that are just burning and heat. It's just radiating heat. It's going to radiate that way for a long time. That's building on love. That's what that foundation is. Now you have to feed it, right? You can't just set it and forget it. You have to feed it. That's fourth bell. Fourth bell is feeding that. You're feeding love. You're practicing love, and you're sustaining yourself with love. So you're getting through all three bells to get to love. And then you're having this relationship with love, like the relationship with love, with compassion, with gratitude, with humility, all the foundations that, at certain times have been called nobility, right? The noble, becoming noble. Other ways of describe it, humanity. Other ways of describe it, civilization. Other ways of describe it is, a good person, right? All that language there. It's every epoch of our civilization has had these layers, right? And then arguably the base layer of the human experience is this loving connection, right? So fourth bell is we just participate with that. And it's a never ending process. You never run out of participation with love because that's the foundation. That's the foundation you build on. You build on love, you can keep building and building and building and building and building. That's why love is love, right? That's why it's such a big deal. The more you build, the more it gives. And that's what you want. You want that in your life as much as possible. So let's do a little practice, Cobwebs in there. Shift your attention into the examination of what's right around you. I think of a funnel. Imagine that funnel is just open. It's like taking in the world around me. So there's, some sound. There's a lot of light and shadow. Temperature, touch, smell, taste. In the scientific world, it's studied as open monitoring. Just turning your attention to the present moment. Instead of attention going to thoughts or analysis, the attention is going into sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. Taming the mind. Glimpsing emptiness, glimpsing quiet. And then just spending some time, right? So some of you have been practicing for more than a minute, right? So you can probably tell the quiet that shows up and just kind of be like, oh, it's so nice. And take that same quiet into the body, bell two. So send the quiet down into your ground. And just like you are studying for a test or studying a new language or meeting a new friend or whatever, you just put the attention there. What's there? There's the pressure against my feet against the ground. There's the pressure on my rear end. Feeling that shows up with the way my knee is bent. The temperature of the skin between the palms of my hands and the tops of my knees. In the region of the pelvis. Where's my tailbone? Right under me, moving it around. And I practice here because throughout the day, I'm constantly checking in with my posture, how everything's set up. Core, releasing core. The practice of the release of the core has helped me so much to recognize how often I'm tensing my core throughout the day. I do it all the time. It happens before I even realize it. So I practice here in the morning when it's quiet, letting the core soften. Heart space. Heart space ribs. My understanding of my body has been so skewed by aesthetics and looking a particular way that I just don't have a, a real relationship to my body. It's all based off it should look this way or it needs to look that way. It's all largely a disaster for 40 some years. But now I'm starting to kind of notice like my bottom ribs are not that far away from my hips. There's so much movement in my back ribs and my shoulder blades when I breathe, but I just never noticed. It's like a language that's beginning. From there, I go into my collarbones. I pull in, so my shoulders don't just go up. My shoulders actually pull in towards the center line. Didn't notice that either until relatively recently. A lot of sensation to be had in the throat, always using the throat, talking, breathing. But what I don't often notice is jaw. You know, jaw would clench so fast. Didn't notice. It's not just jaw clenching. Now I know it's jaw clenching, chest clenching, core clenching. It's unbelievable. It actually shows up as indigestion. Never noticed it. 40 some years, right? But now I kind of see. And I get to the top of the spine, long spine. Long spine. Long spine isn't just long. Long spine is where's the tailbone? What's going on with the core? How's the chest space aligned? What's going on with the jaw? Then tall spine. Comfort. That's what I'm looking for. Comfort. Don't have to suck it up anymore. No more, no pain, no gain. Comfort, sustainability. I served in the military for 8 years. I plan on living to 125. 8 years compared to 125. I could care less about the mentality of the 8 years. 8 years was everything the Army could get out of me. 125 is everything that I can do to create comfort in my body for the vast majority of my life. Third bell. Breath. Just feel it where it is. Let your breath move your body. Don't move your body to your breath. So let your breath move the insides of your body as opposed to moving the outsides of your body to move your breath. It's kind of a shift in kind of where you participate. Do you participate with the origin of the movement or the shape or frame of the movement? Breath is formless. The body is the form. So the formless breath, right, becomes form inside the body. So if you're breathing by the form, you're kind of pulling and pushing and moving your muscles. But if you're breathing from the formless breath, you're allowing the breath, the formlessness, to move into the form of your body and open up things. So you're essentially softening your form and allowing the formless to penetrate all those little areas. See? So formless becomes form. That's the inhale. Form becomes formless. That's the exhale. And then the bottom or the top is that place of emptiness where it could go either way. When I tense or when I'm in kind of a stress response, I'm forming my breath. I'm breathing with form. And so I'm actually breathing with the tension. So it's harder to breathe. The breath doesn't move as smoothly or as broadly. Doesn't get into all the little spaces that kind of inform the body of a full deep breath. It's just not getting in there. And so getting it in there is what signals to the nervous system everything's fine. The other is kind of like half signal to the nervous system everything's fine. In the morning, you get that opportunity to really just feel that deep, fulfilling, wonderful breath. Just Give yourself like 3, just like full, like, oh, that's a nice deep breath, and just feel that. And we take that full signaling, so that whole signal to the whole body, deep breath, that whole body's like, oh, breath is great. Fourth bell. And this is where love triumphs. So reinforcing that love triumphs over evil, darkness, desires, you know, love is supreme. And so I see in my mind, I see the things that challenge me. I see last night's challenges with my daughter and her, physical nature, and the way that the difficulty manifests for her in a physical way, and how much that triggers me physically, and how last night I was able to sit with it and sit with her and be with her and have compassion for her and just be with it all. And good job, body. Good job, nervous system. Good job, heart. You know, being that reflection for her so that she can see that the kind of the violence that shows up with anger and frustration and fatigue and all that other kind of stuff is not bigger than her dad's love for her, and that she can calibrate her nervous system in a safe way. And I'm just so grateful to be able to give her that. I'm so grateful that I am evolved enough to do it. Good job, body. Good job, mind. Good job, heart. And so right now I'm just sitting with the peacefulness. I hope you're sitting with some peacefulness too. Let's do 2 breaths and finish. Thanks for practicing with me, Armor Down. See you next time.